I used to do all the stuff with organic marketing. Hooks, fancy microphones, fancy cameras, fancy tripods, looking at the latest graphic that would get people's attention, post it online, hope and pray for engagement, and then do it all again the next day. It was exhaustive. Meanwhile, my friends were spending a lot of money on Facebook ads, and I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm being smart, I'm saving money, I'm getting this all for free. But the reality was, I was putting a lot of effort and time into organic that was up and down like a yo-yo. My friends and colleagues were actually targeting customers. They were way ahead of me in business, but I knew that there was something that they were doing that was actually worthwhile because they kept on doing it. And it was at that point that I realized marketing math. And let me show you what this is all about. It's the ultimate cheat code to essentially printing money. And it made the big shift between me focusing more on paid than I was organic. And it made a huge difference to my business. It literally put it on steroids. Follow me. This is marketing math, and it's about to change the way that you look at your business. There are 3 numbers that matter in advertising. The cost to acquire a customer, CAC, how much essentially do you spend to get one customer, lifetime value, the amount of money a customer spends with you over their lifetime of being with you, and payback period, how quickly do you make that money back whenever you spend it on advertising. Let's make this real. Say your lifetime value is $5K, $5,000, pounds, whatever it is. So the question you've got to ask yourself is, how much are you willing to spend to acquire that customer? Would you pay 100, 500, 1,000? Heck, you could pay up to 4,000 and still make 1,000 profit. Most business owners never think like this. They think, oh, I don't want to spend 1,000 on ads, but they don't realize that they're buying customers. And whoever can afford to spend the most to get this number is the one that's going to be the loudest, most well-known, and the one that's going to win ultimately the marketing game. So here's the truth. The payback period relates to how quickly you can actually return. Let's say it costs 1,000 to acquire a customer, but they spend 5K with you and you make 4K profit. How quickly you return this money is based on your payback period. And that's the amount of money that you charge upfront. That's the upsells, the ascension, and ultimately everything else that you sell the client during their time with you. Your payback period is how quickly you can make your 1,000 back. And the faster you do that, the more profitable you're going to be. And the big factors that come into play about making it back quick are obviously how much you charge, how much money you collect up front, and what else you sell that customer during their time with you at different stages in the relationship. So the quicker you pay back this 1,000, the more advertising cash you have to essentially spend. So you always want to look at collecting as much cash up front, making it as expensive as you can get away with, and 3, funneling it back into ads to derive more awareness towards your business. Because we live in a day and age where people are distracted, and the more omnipresent you can be in the marketplace means the more people are going to be familiar with your message and your voice, and it's eventually going to get through to the ears and minds of the customers that you want to target. Let's just sidetrack for a minute to organic marketing, because everyone is doing it. I love making content, but here's the truth. Organic reach is on life support. You pour hours into a YouTube video and the algorithm shows it to 12 people, half of whom are your relatives. Organic isn't free. It costs you time. Filming, editing, posting, engaging in content, it's a full-time job. The mental bandwidth, always thinking, what do I post next? Unpredictable algorithm changes that happen literally overnight. Now compare that to ads. Finding a piece of content that you know that works, asking your current customers what's the best stuff, looking at stuff that's banged, putting money behind it. Let's say you put £10 behind something that you know that works. You know that it's going to work well. Once you find an ad that works well, then you crank up that spend, and ultimately you're in full control. No praying to the algorithm gods. With paid, you're no longer guessing. You're literally driving a message in front of people that you know will be received well because you've tested it on organic, and you are going to get interactions, feedback, and most importantly, trust from it. So Here's the truth. The better your organic content, the better your paid ads. Think of organic as your free testing ground. You use it to figure out what message resonates, which creative gets the most engagement, and what people actually care about. A simple hack is to actually go and find your best customers on Stripe or your payment gateway. These are the ones that have paid you the most amount over time, and interview them. Find out what was the piece of content that made you reach out, what's great about our content, what's not great about our content, what could we be doing better, what competitors are you following, and use all of that, put it into a transcript, put it into ChatGPT and ask it to summarize big pain points, big challenges, creative ideas and inputs, and use that to really drive your marketing efforts. So instead of just thinking to yourself, that feedback is absolutely crucial for you building the highest quality marketing assets that you can put out into the marketplace. And your best customers are the ones that literally have paid you the most. They're not the customers that you like the most, they're the ones that have paid you the most, because they're getting value from you and the very thing that you're selling over time. And the fact that they've spent money with you over time demonstrates that they're coming back for return business. You're in the reorder business. You don't want to be in the order business, you want to be in the reorder business. So using those clients, their feedback and insights is absolutely invaluable. Now, on top of that, if you want to make your advertising even better, you've got to build an insane product, an insane service, and that's common sense. But if you've got a shit product or a shit service, great marketing is only going to drive people to it, make them aware that the product is shit, they're not going to get results, and you're going to get bad reviews, you're going to get refunds, and you're going to get bad word of mouth, where people will literally tell everyone, and you won't last long. And you tend to see that a lot, where you've got this conundrum between great marketers and great service providers, where you've got great marketers funneling people to a shit service, and then they go into the next offer, the next offer, the next offer, and then you've got people that are also great at the service but not good at the marketing, or not fully embracing it, and as a result they don't let people know, and then the market get more skeptical because they're buying from the great marketers. You need to embrace being both a great service provider, having a great product, having a great business, and ultimately being a great marketer, and bring those two together. So the better your product, the better your service, the faster you get results, the better you get results than anybody else, the more effective your marketing is going to be. And ultimately, we want to look at driving this cost down for the cost to acquire a customer. And you do that by having a message that is pinpoint and precise and aligned with what your best customers want to hear and see. And on top of that, building an insane product to really allow you to generate better results than anybody else, faster than anybody else. Here's a couple of tips on how to create amazing ads that actually convert. Number one, you want to open up with a bold claim or a pain point. For example, if I was talking about this specific subject and building an ad around it, I would say, if you're relying on organic content to grow your business, you're losing at least 10 grand a month minimum. Let me show you how to fix it. So I've got a big pain point. I want to take people away from it. I want to give them a reason to stay. So your ads have got to captivate people. So you've got to look through the biggest pain points that your market have, and then say something as controversial and as outrageous as possible, and promise a big payoff at the end. If you're using social proof for ads, one of the best things that you can open up with is a customer that literally shares the moment that they decided to pick up the phone or buy your thing. At what point did you decide to do business with us? That opening line cuts right to the chase, and it opens with a narrative and a story that a lot of people can relate to. I was sitting on the edge of my bed with my head in my hands, literally thinking, I'm about to give up. And that was the reason I reached out, because I was going through this, I was going through that. Then after that, what is life like now? So you contrast the worst case with the best case. And as a result of that, you are then met with this remarkable shift and transformation that is aspirational to everyone watching it. And that is the fastest way to literally demonstrate your social proof. You don't want to open up with a big story of, hi, my name's Mark, I own this, I do this, this is my background. That's too long. You've already lost people. So big pain point, how they overcome it, and what they would recommend other people that are in their shoes to do. Another really important lesson is to use language that's at a level 6 reading grade and below. If you look at the best leaders in the world, all of their speeches use very simple language. As coaches, as experts, as consultants, we can sometimes fall into the trap of using sophisticated language that is outside the scope and mental capacity of our market. And the problem with that is that it's difficult to understand. If you're easy to understand, if you're clear and your communication is crisp, you will captivate people and pull them into the message, which ultimately gets them to pay attention and, most importantly, buy or sign up. Another important lesson is that with markets that have got a lot of advertising aimed at them, the problem is that they become sophisticated to the messages. And when they become sophisticated to the messages, then they start feeling sold to. And nobody wants to feel sold to. So how do you override that? Well, you make your ad not look like an ad. You shoot it rough, raw, and rugged. Or you mix it up with a little bit of professional stuff here and there. The more rugged, rough, and raw and real it feels, the more people are going to trust you, rather than a polished ad that's been put together to sell them something. Another important consideration around advertising is to look at it outside the normal realms of just Facebook ads, Google ads, and all that. Advertising can also exist whenever you find someone that has got an audience that has the pain point that you solve, and you pay them to get in front of their audience. That is technically paid advertising. So for example, if you've got expertise in a particular area and you know somebody has got 10,000 followers or an email list or anything, a big event coming up, an expo where these people are going to be there, paying them to get in front of that audience is a really good use of cash, because attention is fleeting online. And if you can actually sit down with someone for 30 minutes or an hour in a workshop, an event style format, at the end of that time period, they are either going to want to buy from you, want to build a relationship with you, or don't want to listen to you ever again. So that allows me to summarize this all in two real points that advertising can really help you with: conversion and awareness. Those are the two parts to your advertising. Awareness is essentially getting in front of people and letting them know who you are. So this might be paying to go and speak at an event. This might be putting money behind a lead magnet, where you're essentially getting an email, a mobile phone number, and ultimately then communicating to that lead directly through their email inbox, through your advertising, through your organic content, and you increase the amount of exposure to your content that they're going to get by getting them on an official list that you own outside of Facebook. Conversion-based ads are directly selling to people. They're different from awareness ads. And the problem with conversion-based ads, which would typically be, hey, buy this right now, is that they don't work as well on a cold market. A cold market is essentially somebody who's never heard of you before. And the awareness ads allow you to talk about a problem, give some value, showcase your expertise, and they actually encourage people to trust you more because they've consumed that material and they're more likely to buy. And that is where we talk about converting leads by retargeting ones that have already consumed a good proportion of your content with a conversion-based ad. But the reality is all the work is done in the nurturing, that is the content that they've consumed before they buy. And it is so important that you get them to consume your best stuff as frequently as possible, and essentially in various different formats. If you look at the Google Moment of Truth survey, it talks about consuming 7 hours of content over 11 different touch points and 4 separate locations. So you want to use your advertising to get your market on these different social media platforms, email channels, events, and stages, so you can ultimately communicate them in various different ways and formats to get your message, your trust, your credibility into their mind and allow them to make a buying decision by then eventually giving them a direct call to action after they've consumed content. Giving them a direct call to action first and foremost is literally just like selling to people. And the problem with that is nobody wants to be sold to. So you essentially want to warm that relationship up with as many different types of content on different types of platforms in different formats. So podcast, YouTube, Instagram, events, expos. The more you do that, the more exposure to your message people are going to have. And the more exposure, the more top of mind you're going to be. And that is absolutely crucial. So big takeaways. Organic content isn't free. It's the most expensive way to market. It's here one day, gone the next. You need a really good quality product. The better your product, the cheaper your marketing. You need good organic. The better your organic, the cheaper your marketing. You need to know your numbers, your cost to acquire customer, your lifetime value, and ultimately your payback period. And ultimately, when you're running ads, talk to your best clients. Find the biggest pain points that they've had, the biggest struggles, the main pieces of content that they have used to ultimately come to you, and double down on creating advertising assets, putting money behind them, and putting them out into the marketplace. And define a lead. What is a lead to you? A lead for us is an email, a mobile phone number, and a name. Leads can also be people that have consumed certain parts of your content, like 50% of your video views and things like that, but ultimately you don't own the data. The data that you really want to own is somebody's mobile number, their name, and their email, so that you can talk to them outside of social media platforms alongside all of your other content, and use that to nurture the relationship, demonstrate your expertise, showcase your proof, and ultimately eventually make them an offer. Double down on paid advertising because it's more predictable, it allows you to be omnipresent, and make sure that you're testing different creatives all the time and doubling down on the stuff that really, really works. Scale everything until you find the winner and double down on it and reshape it, rehash it, retry it, and use your customer feedback to really make sure that that message is hitting the key emotional pain points and taking your customers away from pain and towards your solution that makes them feel safe and gives them the life that they want. If you're addicted to growing your business and you want to expand in all areas of how to think, how to make more profit, how to expand your marketing, and how to drive more sales and customer success, then make sure that you follow this channel. This is exclusively for business owners that want to be able to build a business that allows them to live life on their own terms. And the only way that you're going to do that is to expand your skills, expand your beliefs, and expand your arsenal of tactics. And this channel will show you how to do that.